Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. Today should mark Shrek Academy's 4th appearance in the round-robin stage of the tournament. However, nobody knew whether they would participate today, and if they did, whether they would emerge victorious in the end. Shrek's 7 monsters had relied upon their incredible perseverance and determination, as well as their extraordinary talent, to overcome stronger opponents during their last battle. Their lineup had been composed of 4 Soul Ancestors, 1 Soul Elder and 2 Soul Grandmasters, but they still defeated their opponents, just Sky Academy, who had 3 Soul Kings and 4 Soul Ancestors in their lineup. Despite their victory, they had paid a painful price for it. 6 of them had hit the deck the moment their battles ended, and some of them were severely injured. It was hard to say whether or not Shrek Academy had enough people for the next round. Furthermore, could they recreate the same miracle if they went on to the next round? Could they win today's contest with an exhausted and wounded team? All the spectators had already arrived on scene way before the appointed time, and they were all silently standing in wait with these doubts in mind. They either wanted to see another phenomenal performance from Shrek Academy, or Shrek Academy's exasperated and helpless defeat. It was already midday, but dark clouds were moving aimlessly in the sky and the heavens seemed a little gloomy. A light drizzle had begun as minuscule raindrops drifted downwards. This was the first time there had been rain since the beginning of the competition, and there was no doubt that the teams would carry on the contest in the rain. Here they come. Somebody shouted into the air as the audience, the participants and the other students turned towards the entry tunnel. Indeed, the troop of participants from Shrek Academy were here, clad in their dark green school uniforms. Bei, as the team leader, led the entire company. He Kaitu, Jiang Nan, Hui Yuhao, Wang Dong and another young girl who looked like she was around 20 years of age followed closely behind in that order. Nobody had seen this girl before in this competition. This young girl was elegant and pretty, but her expression was ice cold. Their teacher in charge, Wang Yang, was behind her. This meant that only 6 people would represent Shrek Academy in today's contest. Xiao Xiao and Xu Sancha were both absent, as Xiao Xiao had been heavily injured, and Xu Sancha's vitality had been damaged. Xu Sancha needed to recuperate after bruising his vitality. Even though Xiao Xiao's injuries had been stabilized, there was no way she could participate in the competition for the time being. There was a silver lining to her injuries. She was now at the bottleneck of rank 30, and was on the brink of becoming a Soul Elder once she broke through. All she had to do was gain another soul ring. Instead of sitting down, Bei stood before his comrades and said, "Our opponents today are from the Long Peace Academy of Star Luo City. It can be said that they are battling us on their home ground. Even though their strength cannot be compared to just Sky Academies, they are not that weak, and they have a Soul King amongst their ranks. I will decide on the order of battle after drawing lots." The judge swiftly arrived on stage and they announced the drawing of lots. Bei displayed his unnaturally lucky touch, and it was clear that luck was on Shrek's side today. In light of the fact that they were a man down, a group battle gave them the best edge, and the result of the ballot was as such. Bei was about to step off of the stage after the ballot was drawn when the team leader from Long Peace Academy exclaimed, "It seems the task of defeating Shrek Academy has fallen to us." He was big and tall, with a center parting to his hair. There was a tinge of arrogance in his eyes, and he looked at Bei as if he was looking at an opponent that he had already defeated. Bei glanced at him from the corner of his eye and curled his mouth a little. Just like the bamboo shoots in the mountains. A sharp mouth and tough skin, but empty inside. As he spoke, he had already stepped off the stage. Long Peace Academy's team leader was boisterous in speech, and he had been loud enough for the other members of Shrek Academy, who had already entered the waiting area, to hear him. He Kaitu was indignant. "Seems like everybody wants to bully Shrek Academy. We will surely teach them a lesson later." At this moment, Ling Luochen stood up and stepped over to Bei's side. She lowered her voice and said, "Do they really think we have no depth? Leave this group battle to me, Bei. Let Hui Yuhao and I take this round. I will make them pay the price for their outrageousness." Bei hesitated. "Just the 2 of you? Senior sister, this?" Ling Luochen lowered her voice again and said, "I never joke about Shrek Academy's honor and glory." Bei contemplated his options for a moment, then nodded his head. "All right. Do be careful." Ling Luochen gestured to Hui Yuhao and whispered something in his ear. Hui Yuhao nodded his head repeatedly before he followed Ling Luochen onto the competition stage. All 7 members Long Peace Academy's team had moved swiftly to the stage after the conclusion of the ballot. Even though they hadn't stepped back into their corner, their cone formation was set up, and the person standing at the forefront was their outrageous team leader. The judge was a little confused as he only saw 2 members from Shrek Academy on stage. This is a group battle, Shrek Academy. It's not a 2-2-3 fight or anything. Please get the other members on stage. If not, they'll be considered to have forfeited this round. Long Peace Academy's team leader laughed condescendingly. Shrek Academy is truly disappointing. Making such a low-level mistake when under stress. He sighed, what bad news for the reputation of the #1 academy on the continent. Let's get ready, boys. We will not lose this round due to a moment's lapse in concentration. Ling Luochen said plainly, we only need 2 people for this group battle. She hadn't even looked at her opponents once as she took Hu Yuhao to the other corner of the competition stage. Ling Luochen had already retreated to the edge of the stage. She took point while Hu Yuhao stood behind her. Her expression was typically chilly, but right now her face was so icy that it was frightening. It was even a little pale. She was a member of the official team from Shrek Academy. She didn't have an explosive temper like Ma Xiaodao, but the pride deep within her heart was no different from the same pride shared by the other members of Shrek. She would never swallow any humiliation suffered by Shrek Academy. Following the lowering of his right hand, all of the members of Long Peace Academy's team immediately released their respective martial souls. It was hard to deny the reason behind their outrageousness. Besides their team leader, who was a soul king, the other 6 were soul ancestors. Furthermore, their team leader had the optimal combination of 2 yellow, 2 purple and 1 black soul ring. This was the origin of his arrogance. Ling Luochen unleashed her martial soul as well. She also had 2 yellow, 2 purple and 1 black soul ring. Hu Yuhao had 2 white soul rings behind her, as usual. Nobody knew the true level of his soul rings, and this included Wang Dong and his other friends, let alone his opponents. Ling Luochen raised her right hand and exclaimed, begin. Following the flickers of her first soul ring, the icy staff appeared in her hands, and the surrounding air instantly became freezing cold. She was naturally speaking to Hu Yuhao. Hu Yuhao stepped forward and closed his eyes as he pressed both of his hands to Ling Luochen's back. Immediately, Ling Luochen's eyes turned even colder as an inexplicable aura started to emanate from her body. In the next moment, she directly channeled her 5th soul ring, the black one, and she began to radiate a pressurizing effulgence as the brilliant color extended outwards. That crazy woman is using her 10,000-year soul skill straight away. Everyone, be careful, their team leader cursed in a low voice. He immediately released his soul skill as he prepared to resist carefully. From his perspective, a soul skill with such a large area of effect could not be too powerful. If they could withstand it, they would counterattack. After all, there was strength in numbers. However, he soon saw something that made his gaze pause. In his field of vision, the judge of the competition, who was swiftly moving away from the center of the arena, suddenly stumbled. Then, this unlucky judge turned into an ice statue. He was frozen in a retreating position. What was going on? Before the people from Long Peace Academy could react, they all felt an immense, frigid chill at the same time. It appeared to be coming straight for them. Then, their vision started to blur. While they were still conscious, their martial souls, soul power, and even their soul skills were frozen in the ice and snow. In an instant, there were 8 sculptures in the arena. Ling Luochen retracted her staff and turned to Hu Yuhao and said, go, kick them all down. Remember, use only your legs and not your hands. These foul-mouthed scoundrels don't warrant such respect. Hu Yuhao's heart missed a beat. He thought, the seniors from the inner courtyard are so strong. The strategy that Ling Luochen had just used was very simple. With the help of Hu Yuhao, her ice elemental attack had turned into ultimate ice, and then she had used her 5th soul skill, the Ice Brilliant Halo. While it was ultimate ice, with her powerful control of magic and elemental mastery, she was able to freeze her opponents for a while. Coupled with Hu Yuhao's ultimate ice, even if her opponent were a soul king, he would be unable to escape for at least 10 minutes. This was the terrifying aspect of an ultimate martial soul. If aided by the same element, the power of ultimate ice would become abnormally terrifying. The audience and representatives from the various schools were all dumbfounded. The moment Hu Yuhao walked past the unfortunate judge, the ice cracked, and the judge was able to break free from it. However, his entire body shivered for a while because of the cold. He seemed to have something to say, but in the end, he swallowed his words, which were likely a warning against beating the judges. If a soul sage could be frozen for a period of time, what was there to say about a soul king? Subsequently, that battle chiefly became a scene where all Hu Yuhao did was kick the 7 ice sculptures that enclosed the members of Long Peace Academy's team. The teacher in charge of the academy was deathly afraid that his team would be injured from the impacts and rushed down to catch his students as Hu Yuhao kicked them out of the arena. Fortunately, Hu Yuhao was generous enough to give that teacher enough time to catch each of his students. The judge had recovered from his shivers too. In shock, he stared at Ling Luochen, who had already withdrawn her martial soul, and proclaimed, "Winner, Shrek Academy." The entire audience was stunned. Just as everyone thought that Shrek Academy was out of the fight, Ling Luochen used her powerful ice manipulation skills to tell them that Shrek Academy was still number 1 in the continent. They were the invincible Shrek Academy. The faces of the students from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy appeared to have frozen over. They seemed to have lost their ability to think. In the earlier rounds of the competition, no matter how excitingly Shrek Academy battled, no matter how strong their will, they would show them respect at most, and never caution. After all, a preparatory team was ultimately a preparatory team. If they had so much difficulty resisting the onslaught from just Sky Academy, what more could be said about them? Even Ma Rulong, their captain, believed that victory would ultimately be theirs. In the next 3 rounds, Shrek Academy did not meet any opponent who posed a serious threat to them. They were on a winning streak. After 2 rounds consisting of a one-on-one deathmatch and a group battle, they were able to defeat their opponents. Finally, they were able to emerge victorious in their group with 0 losses, drawing closer to the cruel elimination round. Unexpectedly, the other team that was able to progress to the next round from their group was just Sky Academy, who had caused so much trouble for them before. As the other groups had 9 teams each, they were able to obtain 3 full days of rest after this round-robin cycle ended. Ma Xiaodao and Dai Yueheng had by now fully recovered from their injuries. However, they did not participate in the round-robin portion of the competition. They did not even go down to the arena. This was part of Wang Yang's strategy. Concealing their true power would be immensely beneficial to the subsequent rounds of the competition. In these few days, Shrek Academy received a lot of good news. Xiao Xiao had more or less recovered completely, and after that difficult battle, she was able to break through her rank 30 bottleneck. All she needed was a 3rd soul ring. After experiencing many arduous battles and relentless sessions of cultivation, Hu Yuhao and Wang Dong both experienced an increase of a single rank in soul power. Wang Dong's soul power was now at rank 32, while Hu Yuhao's was at rank 28, bringing him a step closer to rank 30. What was even more delightful was their experimentation with the martial soul fusion skill. However, they did not know what their rate of success was. Only Wang Yang knew that. At least, they had experimented with the other 3 combinations, and they had been able to achieve breakthroughs as they tried out these 3 combinations. Xu Sanxia remained in bed for 5 days before Bei Bei finally kicked him out of it. He was shameless indeed. To receive Jiang Nanan's care, he had remained persistently in bed as he moaned about his predicament non-stop. He thought that this would improve Jiang Nanan's attitude toward him, but everyone knew that it was a one-sided affair. Jiang Nanan still treated him coldly. As everyone recovered from their injuries, Shrek Academy returned to peak condition. Their power might not yet be comparable to the original official team, but it was not too far off. After all, the 2 Soul Emperors and main control-type Soul Master of the original official team were still present. Coupled with Bei Bei, whose martial soul could evolve into the Golden Holy Dragon, and Xu Sanxia, whose martial soul could evolve into a Xuanwu, a powerful soul ancestor, and the exceptional powers of the rest, their overall strength was still terrifying. The pairing for the elimination round is out, Wang Yang said in a deep voice. He had just returned from the Star Luo Empire's palace, where he had drawn lots. Afterwards, he gathered everyone for a briefing. For the round of 16, our opponent is a familiar one. They are the premier academy from the Douling Empire, the Douling Imperial Soul Academy. When they heard the name Douling Imperial Soul Academy, a look crossed the faces of Ma Xiaodao, Ling Luochen, and Dai Yueheng. Ma Xiaodao arched her brows and asked, "Why did we meet them so early on?" Xiao Xiao asked curiously, "How powerful is the Douling Imperial Soul Academy?" Ma Xiaodao said, "They were in the top 4 in the previous tournament, that's how powerful they are. They are much stronger than the Just Sky Academy who you met earlier on." Teacher Wang, how powerful are the members of their delegation this time? Wang Yang said, "The Douling Imperial Soul Academy's official team is comprised of 5 Soul Kings and 2 Soul Ancestors. They are powerful indeed. Furthermore, they are not inflexible in their approach. While they are an advanced soul academy, they are also the premier soul engineering academy. Through my observations, I have realized that every single one of their delegation possesses a soul tool, and they are able to wield them efficiently in battle. At least 2 of them are soul engineers, which means that they are soul kings with soul tools. This is a difficult opponent. Teacher Wang, we qualified from the round-robin round in first place, and with their strength, the Doling Imperial Soul Academy should have done the same as well. If that's the case, why are we fighting them? Aren't the number 1 teams supposed to only get the second-place teams in the round of 16? Dai Yuehang asked suspiciously. Wang Yang said, in terms of overall strength, the Doling Imperial Academy should have been first place in their group. However, that wasn't the case. A black horse which also had a streak of consecutive wins and no losses appeared in their group. Yet, the Doling Imperial Academy forfeited their match with that black horse for no reason. That's why they qualified in second place. I didn't think that we'd meet them. Was there a problem? Ma Xiaodao asked. The Doling Imperial Academy is also a well-known school. They must have known the importance of the group matches and what first place signifies. Just what would make them give up that first place spot? Are they trying to preserve their strength for a single attack? Wang Yang replied, I've also thought about this. The only difference between first and second place in the qualifier rounds lies in the round of 16. It doesn't hold any significance after this match. The Doling Imperial Soul Academy must have done this for a reason, and they must have concealed it well. We'll only be able to see why in the match. Fortunately, we've kept the fact that you and Yuehang are participating in this match a secret as well. With you guys leading the team, there shouldn't be too big of a problem. Okay, I'm going to explain the rules of our next elimination round. Over the 10,000 years that the Continental Advanced Soul Dueling Tournament has been held, its rules have never changed. This is especially so for the final elimination rounds. To make the tournament more interesting, as well as to better display the comprehensive strengths of the participating academies, the tournament format will change slightly from previous matches. The elimination rounds won't be decided using lot drawing as per previous matches. Each match will be held over 2 days, and both a team battle and an individual knockout round will be held. Winning the team fight doesn't mean that you'll definitely proceed to the next round. If you can defeat all 7 of your opponents using only 3 members, you'll be able to overturn the outcome of the team match. On the other hand, the team that wins the team fight can guarantee their advance into the next stage by defeating 3 of their opponents using 7 team members. These tournament rules both illustrate the importance of a team's overall strength and give a chance to teams which have strong individuals. For example, our team has Soul Emperors like Ma Xiaodao and Dai Yuehang. Even if we lose the team fight, they might be able to shine in the individual matches and defeat all 7 of their opponents by themselves. In that case, we could still win the elimination round. Because of that, although the elimination round tests our strength as a complete whole, it gives a great chance to strong individuals. Truly powerful academies will definitely try extremely hard to nurture their best students, and one reason for that is to allow them to turn the tides in the elimination round's individual matches. The fact that the elimination round was actually held in a way like this was something that nobody had imagined. Hui Yuhao asked, Teacher Wang, then what happens in the 1v1 fights if a team member is injured or overexhausted from the team fight? Wang Yang replied, then it'll depend on the strength of that team's bench. Every academy that's participating in this tournament has to have a preparatory team, just like what you guys originally were. If something like what you've just said occurs to an official team member, a member from the preparatory team will have to take their place. Bei Bei, Xu Sanxia. The 2 of you should have recovered already. Would it be possible for the 2 of you to use your abilities if you were to participate in the elimination round? Wang Yang was naturally referring to Bei Bei's Golden Holy Dragon and Xu Sanxi's Xuanwu. Bei Bei nodded. I should be able to. My martial soul doesn't get strengthened as much as Xu Sanxi's. However, it all depends on whether I can make it come out. After using it once, I'll have to wait 3 days to use it again, just like the fusion skill my junior brothers use. Also, I'll only have the power to unleash a single attack. I'll only be able to stabilize this power once I become a 7-ringed soul sage. Xu Sanxia had a bitter look on his face as he said, I can't say for sure, because I can't control it. A variation like that only occurs to my martial soul when I receive an especially intense stimulation. However, I'm the same as Bei Bei. Once I become a soul sage, everything will be fine. A woman wearing a black cheongsam was standing outside the door. Being 28 to 29 years old, she possessed a mature charm and an occasional air of youth. Hu Yuhao and the rest all recognized her. She was the auctioneer who had held the auction they'd participated in that day, Qing Ya. Qing Ya's gaze directly landed on Wang Yang as she smiled and greeted him. "Hello, teacher Wang Yang. I have to apologize for taking the liberty to disturb you." Wang Yang's gaze softened somewhat as he saw that the intruder was Qing Ya. He asked in a low voice, "Do you have something for us, auctioneer Qing Ya? Also, how did you find us here?" The big-headed man shook his head. "No, we can't. This Starlight auction house is under the control of the Star Luo Empire. Furthermore, there will definitely be people acting as security for such a top-ranked auction. I can feel at least 4 different powerful auras here. There are 4 title Doluo here. Do you want to die? Unless our sect elders are here, we won't be able to achieve anything good. Relax, this 100,000-year soul beast embryo is not so easily absorbed. So what if they manage to win the bid for it? As long as we can identify the right target, we can always get it back." Similar situations to this played out across the several guest rooms. It was just the methods they used to seek out information that were different. With the secret cooperation of the Starlight Auction House, how could the identities of the members of the Sun Moon Empire Soul Engineering Academy remain a secret? The figure of 150 million golden soul coins did not continue to soar any further. This astronomical figure was frightening to everyone, no matter how powerful they were. As expected, they've all been scared by me. In the second guest room, Xiao Hongchen snorted and turned his head towards Elder Ma. Then, he said, "Elder Ma, this treasure is a knotty problem for us. Our safety cannot be guaranteed during the handover and takeover process at this auction. Once the exchange is done, bring it back to our academy immediately and pass it to our ancestor. Once it enters the illustrious Virtue Hall, let's see who'll dare to harbor any ill intentions." Elder Ma nodded and said, "This should be the case. We must still try our best to remain low profile. It's rare to see an auction item that's worth hundreds of millions in the history of the continent. I will return through the secret passageway that the illustrious Virtue Hall has in Star Luo City." The first guest room. The Star Luo Emperor listened to all the news that was being conveyed to him, and the smile on his face became brighter and brighter. 150 million. "Illustrious Virtue Hall Master, I hope you like this gift I'm giving you." After he finished speaking, he stood up slowly, and the soul screen in front of him tore in half. Then, the figure of this Star Luo Emperor disappeared within that secret passageway. The secret passageway of every guest room opened to allow the guests that had participated in the bidding to leave secretly. Shrek Academy was no exception. Wang Yang did not keep these things to himself this time. The tyrannical tiger soul blade was paid for by Dao Yaoheng, but he kept this rare, Class 8 close combat soul tool in his pocket. As for that entire set of Class 6 stationary soul cannon shells, he directly passed them to He Kai-Tu. Regarding soul tools, no one in Shrek Academy was as knowledgeable as him. It was best for him to hold onto the items. He Kai-Tu put the 12 shells away carefully. He was so excited that his tanned face swelled with red. Even though the shells were only Class 6, they could not be underestimated. They could not be measured based on ordinary soul tools. As they could only be used once, the power of these Class 6 shells were more frightening than Class 8 long-range soul tools. Right now, the most powerful shells that Shrek Academy knew of were only Class 8. A Class 8 shell could crush a small-sized city, and it was only produced in limited quantities by the Sun Moon Empire as a weapon in battles. Wang Yang specially instructed him not to use them during the tournament. At this time, everyone had only just returned to the Grand Imperial Star Hotel quietly. Tomorrow, they were going to face a tough opponent. After returning to their rooms, Hu Yuhao and Wang Dong started their cultivation as usual. As the Haodong power was summoned and was supplemented by the golden light left arm bone, the two of them entered a state of meditation. Hu Yuhao did not know that the Skydream Iceworm and Ice Empress were communicating through their minds in his spiritual seat. Humans are becoming more and more evil. They are already eyeing our clan members, the Ice Empress said furiously. The Ice Empress was a little stunned as she said, "I couldn't tell." "You are really able to tell everything clearly." The Skydream Iceworm said proudly, "If not, do you think I've been sleeping for these few million years that I've lived? Won't you?" The Ice Empress replied as she acted stunned, "Of course not." The Skydream Iceworm was a little cross as he retorted. The Ice Empress seemed to feel much better, and sighed slightly before saying, "After losing my power that could control everything around me, I'm actually thinking more than I did in the past. Although the humans are powerful, us soul beasts were the rulers of this world much earlier. Perhaps we're not very united now. However, us soul beasts will retaliate against the humans when their existence affects our survival. Whatever goes, the Skydream Iceworm answered lazily. Anyway, I'm only just a soul ring now. As long as Yu-Hao is fine, I don't care about anything else. Don't force Yu-Hao either. He is already working very hard. There's one phrase by the humans that's well said: everything has to be done just right. Come, let's sleep together for a while. Who's sleeping with you? The Ice Empress said tempestuously. The Skydream Iceworm snorted and said, we don't have bodies now, and are sealed in Yu-Hao's spiritual sea. If we're not sleeping together, then what are we doing? Whether you're going to admit it or not, can't I just visualize it for myself? You rascal. Beside my favorite little scorpion. Sleep. The Skydream Iceworm went silent, and the Ice Empress eventually laughed after being cross for half the day. Rascal, I wouldn't have let you take advantage of me if I wasn't destined to fail in my attempt to break through the bottleneck. It's weird. Why did I feel a sense of familiarity when I saw that soul beast embryo today? Don't tell me that it's a 100,000-year soul beast that comes from the extreme north. But if it's only just a new 100,000-year soul beast that is preparing to be reborn as a human, why did I feel such a sense of familiarity? Soul Land 2 Episode 41 Part 1 end here.